And in Vietnam, the 14th National Congress of the Communist Party concluded, bringing together about 1,600 delegates and defining the country's main directives for the next 5 years. From China, our correspondent Bruno Falsi has the details.
Hello, comrades. I am in Beijing now to report to you about the Vietnam that concluded his 14th National Congress of the Communist Party, reaffirming the party's internal unity and defining its roadmap for the 2026 and 2030 period, with goals focused on economic growth, social inclusion, and environmental sustainability. The Congress re-elected Ton Lan as the General Secretary, and he stated that the Vietnam aims to annual economic growth above 10% over the next decade. At present, the Vietnamese economy is growing around 8%, despite the global economic slowdown, the geopolitical tensions, and the climate change, all linked to the crisis of the neoliberal capitalist system. The approved plan combines industrial modernization, technological innovation, and investment in infrastructure with clear social objective, reducing multidimensional poverty to below 1% of the population, and expanding health coverage to more than 95% of the citizens, alongside policies for income distributions and job creation. Vietnam also reaffirms its commitment to achieving carbon neutrality by 2050 and expanding renewable energy. Recent floods in Southeast Asia, one of the regions most affected by extreme climate change in the world, underscore the urgency of climate adaptations of policies and foreign policy in this region. The Communist Party maintains an independent and no-alignment stance, promoting multipolarity and solidarity with socialist countries such as Cuba and Venezuela. With this news from here, the capital of China, we return with you in the studios in La Habana, Cuba.
In Venezuela, citizens in the state of Anzoátegui mobilized to demand the freedom of President Nicolás Maduro, who was kidnapped on January 3rd by U.S. imperialism. On a peaceful day, citizens took to the streets to demand the immediate release of President Nicolás Maduro and First Lady Cilia Flores, who were kidnapped following the military attack on January 3rd. These protests in eastern Venezuela are in addition to those held nationwide for several consecutive days. Participants also condemned the continuous aggression of U.S. imperialism and the Donald Trump administration, reaffirming Venezuela's determination to defend its sovereignty. Also in Venezuela, people offer a prayer for peace, sovereignty, and the release of constitutional President Nicolás Maduro and First Lady Cilia Flores. The event took place simultaneously in various places around the country and called for reflection and unity throughout the nation. The announcement was made by the Vice President of Religious Affairs of the United Socialist Party of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro Guerra, who called on the entire Venezuelan population to join this prayer chain from every corner of the country under a message of faith and hope for the destiny of the nation. In this scenario, Maduro Guerra also emphasized that this spiritual gathering not only seeks the well-being of the presidential couple, but also honors the memory of those who have suffered in recent times and prays for the stability of the country.
Y fíjense lo que dice. Si Dios nos dio lo máximo de él.
And look at what it says. If God gave us the best of himself, his son, then he will not act in a partial or indifferent way towards us. Furthermore, God crucified Jesus Christ and then resurrected him on the third day. Cross, resurrection, and intercession, that's all. Thank you very much. May God bless you all. And let's continue to consolidate our country towards peace, toward the future, toward prosperity, and towards victory, as Venezuela is the blessed land. Thank you very much.
Thousands of protesters took to the streets of Madrid, the capital of Spain, to denounce U.S. policies in Latin America and the Middle East. Their demonstration echoed the growing protests in the United States against the Trump administration's rule-breaking approach. Demonstrators walked from Spain's Ministry of Foreign Affairs to the U.S. Embassy in Madrid. They carried banners condemning U.S. actions abroad and calling for an end to military interventions. A left-wing coalition organized the march where participants focused on U.S. policy toward Venezuela and its support for military actions in Palestine. They argued that the U.S. seeks to control Venezuela's oil.
We are here to denounce the imperialist aggression that the United States made against Venezuela because they want the petrol and because it is a part of a larger colonialist, imperialist aggression to the whole Latin America. That's why after this aggression, he threatened to Cuba, Colombia, Mexico, and even Greenland. So we are here to
Colombian President Gustavo Petro requested the Public Prosecutor's Office to prioritize the investigation against those responsible for health crimes. Through his official account in the social media X, the head of state expressed, "If the 1991 Constitution, which commands the right to health to all Colombians, prevails in a democracy under daily bombardment, I ask the Attorney General of the nation to prioritize any criminal investigation on possible crimes committed against the Colombian people by neglecting their contractual obligations with the state that has turned all resources as never before so that there could be more health and life in Colombia. The health service based on financial intermediaries and the monopoly of medicines import is highly risky for the lives of human beings in Colombia." In the United States, a crowd of protesters gathered on Sunday night at a hotel in St. Paul in the state of Minnesota to denounce the presence of agents from U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. The protest took place just 24 hours after the 37-year-old Alex Pretty was killed by ICE agents in the city of Minneapolis. The crowd arrived at the home suites by Hilton Canopy Hotel and remained there with whistles and banners condemning the presence of federal agents and demanding their immediate expulsion from the state. In this context, the Minneapolis State Police heavily repressed the demonstration by using stun grenades and tear gas against the protesters. And in the United States, a federal judge has issued a temporary restraining order to prevent federal officials from destroying or altering evidence related to the murder of citizens Alex Jeffrey Pretty. Judge Eric Tostrud's decision follows a Saturday lawsuit filed by the Hennepin County Attorney's Office against ICE agents who fatally shot Pretty at a protest. Its purpose is to protect evidence that the federal agents who killed the 37-year-old nurse may have removed from the scene or may have in their custody. The court order prevents the government from destroying or altering evidence related to the 26th Street and Nicollet Avenue shooting on January 24th. This includes evidence that the defendants removed from the scene and evidence that the government took into custody. And in the United States, protests continue in Minneapolis in the state of Minnesota in response to the second killing of a U.S. citizen committed by federal agents of the Immigration and Customs Enforcement in the city in 2 weeks. Let's recall that on Saturday morning, 37-year-old Alex Jeffrey Pretty, an intensive care nurse, was confronted by several agents while filming the activities of officers wrestled to the ground and then fatally shot. The killing escalated an already tense standoff between Minnesota and the federal government following the previous murder of citizen Renee Nicole Good mere days before. In the aftermath, people have taken to the streets across Minnesota demanding an end to ongoing federal immigration enforcement operations carried out by ICE and other homeland security agencies. Those thousands have gathered in downtown Minneapolis, marching despite freezing temperatures to condemn recent raids and the use of excessive force. In this context, demonstrators accuse federal agents of brutality and call for accountability following the fatal shootings. In this scenario, U.S. President Donald Trump said his administration is reviewing everything after federal officials sought to portray Pretty as a domestic terrorist, saying he wanted to massacre law enforcement, even as videos emerged that directly contradict their account. Also, we stay in this context, the images we're seeing live of the current rally taking place, as we were saying, in Minneapolis, the Minnesota state, as people continue to condemn the police brutality and the aggression of the ICE against the migrant community. In this context, a federal judge has issued a temporary restraining order to prevent federal officials from destroying or altering evidence related to the murder of citizen Alex Jeffrey Pretty. Judge Eric Tostrud's decision follows a Saturday lawsuit filed by the Hennepin County Attorney's Office against ICE agents who fatally shot Pretty at a protest. Its purpose is to protect the evidence that the federal agents who killed the 37-year-old nurse may have removed from the scene or may have in their custody. The court order prevents the government from destroying or altering evidence related to the 26th Street and Nicollet Avenue shooting on January 24th. This includes evidence that the defendant removed from the scene and evidence that the government took into custody. All these contexts of tensions rising on the streets of the United States are a clear demonstration of the wide rejection of the Trump's agenda, both national and abroad. It's the imperial agenda that currently the U.S. President Donald Trump is exercising, violating not only international law, but the United States' own constitutions and rule of law. In the United States, the death toll from the winter storm affecting much of the country has risen over 10, leaving more than 1 million people without electricity. After the discovery of the first 5 dead in New York and the other 2 in Louisiana, more deaths were reported in Michigan, central Arkansas, Texas, and Kansas. Although the bodies show no signs of violence, below zero temperatures and a wind chill of up to -17 degrees point to the hypothesis of death by hypothermia. In this regard, Mayor of New York, Zohran Mamdani, expressed his deep concern about these events, which expose the critical situation of homelessness faced by the most vulnerable sectors in one of the most populous cities in the world. In this scenario, the heavy snowstorm in the United States left over 1 million homes without power and brought domestic air travel to a complete halt. Damaging ice knocked out power to over 1 million customers across the Mid-Atlantic and South. According to local authorities, outages could last for days in hard-hit areas like Nashville, Mississippi, and southern states, such as Texas and Louisiana, with hundreds of thousands of residents left without power in freezing temperatures. In turn, the climate crisis also paralyzed national air transport, with more than 17,000 flights canceled due to bad weather, leaving thousands of travelers stranded. Moreover, schools in major cities have canceled classes or moved to remote learning for Monday. Meanwhile, Canada has felt some of the worst impacts from the storm, which has broken records in some places. Environment Canada reported that 46 centimeters of snow fell at Toronto Pearson Airport on Sunday, a new daily snowfall record for that site. Toronto has declared a major snowstorm condition and significant weather event, prohibiting parking on snow routes. As the storm swept through the region, 2,536 homes were affected by a power outage as of Monday morning, according to Hydro-Quebec. The power outages and snowstorm forced the closure of several schools Monday. And the Chinese government condemned the interference of U.S. politicians in Beijing's interactions with Central American countries. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Guo Jiakun rejected the defamatory comments made by U.S. Representative John Mulliner of Michigan regarding Beijing's political affairs. In this regard, Jiakun stated that the comments reflect his ideological bias and Cold War mentality and urged U.S. politicians to stop manipulating issues related to Beijing and take actions that contribute to regional development and prosperity. Meanwhile, the Foreign Ministry spokesperson emphasized that China bases its principles on mutual respect and friendly cooperation with Central American countries.
China firmly opposes certain U.S. politicians interfering in the normal relations between China and the countries of Central America. Such statements are completely lies and falsehoods, reflecting only their own ideological basis and Cold War mentality. China has always adhered to the principles of mutual respect, openness, and cooperation for shared gains, developing friendly relations with the countries of Central America, which has brought tangible benefits for the people and has been well received by the countries involved.
And in Vietnam, the 14th National Congress of the Communist Party concluded, bringing together about 1,600 delegates and defining the country's main directives for the next 5 years. From China, our correspondent Bruno Falsi has the details.